Seabiscuit. No, but can't you see him like going out at night with like a bag of grenades, like going to like the home of like the CEOs of glue factories, like around the world? You know, just being like, not, you know, but you know, because it almost seems like the media is always trying to, you know, find like a nickname for a serial killer, like, you know, someone like writes in a letter, you know, well, I guess they wouldn't write in a letter, they'd like post it on like a newspaper's Facebook wall or something, like, hey, what's up? Just murdered my victim. You'll never find me. Signed, Rolf. Have a nice day. You know, and I'm sure like all the newspaper guys get to be like, ah, man, what are we gonna do about this? Well, I think we should definitely give him a nickname first. Okay, do you have any ideas? Well, Rolf. I think there was a character in The Sound of Music named Rolf. So it's just a test run. How about the hills are alive with the sounds of children screaming in agony? Maurice, that's not very catchy. I don't think it's gonna work. Okay, wait. All right, this just came to me. A doe, a deer, a female murdering son of a bitch. Maury, I don't think so. Okay, all right. Yeah, no, this is the ace in the hole. Gonna pull it out right now. Okay, you are 16, staying at 16 because you just been murdered. Maurice, you're the cartoonist. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know why we invite you to these office meetings anymore. But, you know, so I was thinking of like what my nickname would be, and I kind of had thought of a couple that didn't work out. One was the Sears serial killer, which is I would murder people who frequently shop at the store Sears. Because, I mean, they deserve to die, right? You know, like I would just like loiter around the parking lot. You know, like some like old lady comes up. She's like, "Excuse me, sir, can you put my card away for me? I'm moderately old, but also very lazy." And I'd be like, "Why, yes, little old, moderately old lady. I would do so gladly." You know, but there's not much thrill in that, so I kind of tossed that idea out. The second one was the croissant serial killer. And I thought this was the idea, that I would just murder people who were like eating croissants, like out on the street, you know, like I would like hide in a bush with like binoculars, be like, bagel. Small dog. Been here for like 8 hours. Do people not eat croissants anymore? Jesus. Fucking yogurt eaters out here. But then I finally found the best serial killer nickname, the Boombox serial killer. And you know what? Because no one suspects anything evil of a guy just like walking around with a boombox, you know? Like, I come across like a cop, he's like, "Hey, where are you going with that boombox?" I'm like, "Well, I'm going to play it outside the girl I love's home. And then I'm gonna use it to break the window and go inside and butcher her and her family." And he'll be like, "You hopeless romantic. Run along, son." He'll likely be fired, you know, like a week later when the family ends up dead, but because you know, and it'll be very easy to lure my victims. You know, if I'm looking for like an older man, like 60s-year-old, I'll be like walking around with it, and he'll be like, "Hey, you know, hey, where are you going with the boombox?" "Well, I'm going to listen to the Best of the Eagles CD." And I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm like, "Sure, come with me." You know, and I'll like somehow subdue him and put him in the back of my van in the trunk, drive out to like a secluded area, tie him up, and it'll be like a Reservoir Dogs type thing. I'll be like dancing around to like a Taylor Swift song, like trouble. And he'll be like, "What the fuck, why are you dancing?" I'll be like, "I think you have bigger problems on your hands than dancing." You know, and then maybe I'll play like the song from Annie, like the sun will come out tomorrow, and be like, "Yeah, but that doesn't apply to you. You'll be dead, don't worry about it." And then, you know, I'll put the boombox down and I'll like go off like into the bushes, and I'll start like rustling some bushes, so he'll be like, oh my God, someone's coming to save me. I'm like, no, it's just me. No one's coming to save you, yeah. I planned this out pretty well. And then the best part, after I come, I'll just leave the boombox playing very loud. I mean, that might attract attention, but, it doesn't really matter. So like some like family nearby be like having a barbecue, like flipping some burgers, having a good time. They hear like Boys to Men, very far out in the distance, to be like, yeah, wow, Boys to Men, yeah. Our neighbors have a pretty good sense in music. We don't have any neighbors. We live next to the forest. Oh my God, get in the house. Thank you.
I was at McDonald's over Easter break, and I couldn't help but admire the Happy Meal toys. I noticed they're still doing that thing where they like divide them up by gender. Like if you're a boy, like you get the Hot Wheels car, and if you're a girl, you get like a Barbie doll or something. And I just feel that's like awfully presumptuous. That like they just assume based on your gender, like what toy you're interested in. That's a little outdated thinking. I think we should live in a world where like if you're a boy, you're free to experiment with Barbie dolls, and if you're a girl, you can get your race on. It just made me think like back in like the 1960s, like in the Jim Crow era, like did they have separate Happy Meal toys for like black kids and white kids? And, like I just couldn't imagine like pulling up to like the voice box and like, hey, can I take your order? Like, oh, I'll take a Happy Meal. Is your son a Negro or a white man? We're African American. Oh, okay, here's 3/5 of the Happy Meal toy. That was an era of our history. I didn't make that up. I'm starting to doubt more and more like whether I'm a good person or not. I feel this is entirely unrelated. Because I feel like when you're little, like you just assume like there's no way you could not be a good person. You're a precious little angel. The only way you could be like a bad person as a kid is if you're like a bully or something. So like there's always like that one kid in like first grade or whatever who like tries to barter friendship with like cookies and stuff. Like that guy has to be a bad person as a child. I can remember like he comes up to me and like, yo, give me your cookies or we're not friends anymore. And I just have to say, like, well, if that's going to be the basis of our relationship, like we got to go with the second one. We're not friends anymore. Like, you're taking advantage of me. I'm only enabling your childhood obesity. If we're going to continue on this path, like, you're going to find yourself a grown man with very few cookies and very few friends. And we're going to die, and you're going to go up to heaven, and I will be seated above in my throne of Oreos and Chips Ahoy, with my cherubim of Keebler elves. And you will gaze up, and I will look down, and I'll be all like, when I was homeless, did you give me shelter? When I was thirsty, did you give me drink? When I was hungry, did you try to swindle me out of my fucking Nutter Butters? Amen, amen, I say to you, you are not my friend. Yeah, I feel I'm doubting more and more whether I'm a good person. Because like when I applied to college, I wrote in all my essays like, I'm a good person, I like helping people. And I've been in college, and I haven't helped any people. Ever since I try to do the easy thing, like just take the easy path. Ever since I was like maybe in middle school, I was always kind of an avoidant, evasive personality. I remember we had a charity basketball tournament where like we'd get the day off and everyone would bring in $2 and like organize into basketball teams and we'd like play. And if you were in 8th grade, you had to be a captain of your team. And you'd like partner up with a friend and you get to choose like which 6th and 7th graders you wanted to put up with for a day and like play basketball. Which really sucked for me because me and my best friend, our entire relationship was based on that we were the 2 worst basketball players. Just like back in 5th grade, we met each other like, yo, you can't make a layup? I barely know the rules of this game. Let's go to sleepovers. So, charity basketball tournament is approaching. I'm racking my brain for ways to get out of it. Maybe a relative could die, I could miss school, maybe my dog could die. For a brief moment, I was considering dying. But I was getting creative. What if I was uncontrollably pooping the morn of the charity basketball tournament? So my devious little mind went to like a convenience store? I went with my little brother. I got like Pringles, icy for my little brother, gave him a look like no one is to know about this. And I got like 5 things of like X-Lax. I didn't know how it functioned, and I set an alarm for like 2 in the morning. I would take all this X-Lax at 2 in the morning so that like when I would wake up, like I'd be incapacitated. That's how I thought it worked. That didn't work out. Well, like the really, really messed up thing about that is that like back in 8th grade, I had a torn ACL. I didn't need an excuse to not play basketball. It was like medically necessary for me to not hurt myself. So I just really was at that age where I was experimenting with like medication. I don't know. So I'm trying to be a better person. Trying to think of others. They say like before you judge someone, you have to consider like what it feels like to be in their shoes. I guess I'm like halfway there. Like whenever I'm judging like a girl or something, I always consider what it would feel like to be in her vagina. Hey, jelly bean!
What up, Scarsdale? Scarsdale's in the house. Give it up for Scarsdale. Anthony Schepis, everybody. Anthony Schepis.
I'm graduating soon. In 2 months. And I'm freaking out about it a little bit. You might not be able to tell. I have to find a job soon, and it's odd because the only thing college has taught me at this point is that it's okay to sleep until 2 p.m. and then I can probably wear those jeans again. It's gotten to the point where I'll just be like watching HGTV on the weekend in my underwear, and I'm just like watching people buy a house, and I'll be like, I can be a realtor. I can do it. Doesn't look that hard. You know what? I really haven't given enough attention to my whittling recently. I can do that after I graduate. They don't really tell you that you can't do anything with a poli-sci major. Any poli-sci majors? Yeah. One. I think yes, you're going to law school or you're being unemployed. My dad is pretty paranoid. He's a DA, so he deals with crime a lot. So anytime my family goes on vacation, his plan to fool the burglars is that he leaves a radio or the TV on, so that when the burglars come and listen to the door, they're like, "Is that Alex Trebek? Alex Trebek live here? What is no? What is let's go to the next house?" What's next? I'm not a very smart person, and I try, like most people, I think, to give the appearance that I am a smart person by saying things that I think are smart. But that's very different from what's going on inside my head. So like on the outside, I'll be like, yeah, Descartes. But on the inside, I'm like, I don't know how the internet works. I don't know. What? Where is it? Where is the internet? I don't get it. On the outside, I'm like, in Europe, soccer is football. But on the inside, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm misusing the word pithy. I'm pretty sure I'm using it wrong. I'm not going to stop using the word. I'm just going to say I'm using it wrong. I'm not going to look it up or anything. I'm just pretty sure I'm using it wrong. I like the internet though, even though I don't understand it. I like it because it's more discreet than sitting in a park with candy. My one problem with the internet is Google image search, because whenever I do a Google image search, it comes up with here's a lot of pictures of this person you were looking for, and it makes me look like a serial killer. Because it's like that scene in the movie where the girl goes in the room, and then the camera pans around, and there's pictures of her everywhere, and then she drives it back out, and then I'm like, where are you going? One of my roommates, that's a transition. One of my roommates had a girlfriend, and she would come over all the time. And she and I had this thing where she would come over every day, and I would secretly resent her. But she and I were having this conversation one time about abortion. Don't worry about it. And she was like, it really should be the woman's choice because she's the one that has to get fat. Now, I don't know a ton about pregnancy, but she doesn't understand how pregnancy works. Like, what does she think happens? Like, she goes to like some Rumpelstiltskin character, and he's like, yes, that's fat enough to use your baby. That's not how that works at all. She must be a poli-sci major. Most of my dreams recently have been very realistic, which is another way of saying that I'm an uncreative dreamer. Like, I'm never flying or a superhero. I'm always like, one time I accidentally drove into Canada in my dreams. They're very mundane things where I'm like, I have to talk to that guy, and then I go to sleep. And I dream that I'm talking to that guy. That's all it is. And it's like, you never tell someone, like, hey, I had a dream about you last night, because that's really weird. You can't do that at all. So I never do that. It's like, dreams can be weird sometimes. Because it's like, I can't separate reality from my dreams. Like, you know when you have that dream when you kill your mom, and then you wake up, and you gotta deal with your mom all day? Knowing that you could kill her? You can't help noticing how thin her neck is all the time? But it's a weird thing because, like, after you have that dream, for the first 5 seconds when you wake up, you're like, oh no, did I kill my mom? Oh man, I hid her body in the morgue. That was clever. Oh no, I smell bacon. She's okay. All right, guys, that's my time. Thank you very much.
So next up, we have Amanda Pell. Amanda Pell, everybody.
Hey. So quick poll, how many of you guys are seniors? That's the level of enthusiasm I get for that question. I'm not a senior, I was just asking. So you guys just had your senior night, right? The other night?
Yeah.
It was like 90s throwback theme, is my understanding?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Is that cool?
Yeah.
It seemed cool, I'm just asking. I love the 90s just as much as the next guy, but I was thinking about this recently, and our obsession with it as a decade is completely unfounded. It doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, first of all, I don't know what the rest of you guys are. I was born in 1992, which means that my memory like checks in around 2005. I mean, maybe I should get that checked out, but my little brothers are like running around like, we're 90s kids. I'm like, you were 3 in 2000. You wouldn't know what Tamagotchi could hit you in the face. But even if, I mean, it's just a weird thing to be proud of. Like, you were born when you were born. Like, you didn't really have a hand in that decision-making process. Like, living through Hey Arnold is not the same as living through, like, Nom. But even if, for the sake of the argument, let's say we do accept this, like, decade-based hierarchy, there's no way the 90s is at the top of it. Like, 60s kids have us beat. They have everybody beat. The year 1969 alone just wins the time competition. We went to the moon. No one's ever gonna beat that, I promise you. And like the 70s gave us Star Wars, which is awesome, and also Elton John and Kiki D's timeless rendition of the American classic Don't Go Breaking My Heart. The 80s gave us the version of MTV that didn't include the Jersey Shore, so thank you for that, 80s. So what exactly does the 90s have to offer? Like Pogs and the Clinton administration? It doesn't really cut it for me. Like that one Alanis Morissette song is supposed to be about irony, but it's just like a long string of coincidences. Not impressive, 90s. Not impressive. So yeah, but people do this thing and it drives me absolutely nuts because they pop up out of nowhere and they're like, you know you're a 90s kid if you remember this. In West Philadelphia, born and raised on the okay, no. Because that's just the theme song to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and everyone knows that song. Like the people who existed prior to the 90s didn't stop existing when the 90s. Like, do you know who I guarantee remembers that song who's not a 90s kid? Will Smith. Not a 90s kid, Will Smith. My parents were really into, in the 90s, this like parenting craze called edutainment. Wasn't a joke. It's supposed to be games for your kids that are also educational. So it's like a lot of computer games and stuff. So I played this one game a lot called the Oregon Trail. I mean, even if you're not, I shouldn't really have to explain it too much because like it's also an actual thing that happened. But I was home recently and I found it again and I was checking it out. And the concept is that you have to get yourself and your covered wagon full of people from Independence, Missouri to Oregon for the gold rush. And like 6-year-old me was like, oh, that sounds like a fun challenge. But from where I'm standing right now, like that was one of the most harrowing and difficult experiences in American history that they like told children to engage in. Like, I don't understand that at all. I'm looking at this at home and going, didn't a lot of people die in the Oregon Trail? Well, I researched it, and yeah, they did. I would share my findings with you. I mean, when I say research, I mean I looked on Wikipedia, but so approximately 21,000 people died on the Oregon Trail. In their sleep, you ask? No, they did not die in their sleep. Top reasons for people who die on the Oregon Trail: disease, Indian attack, freezing, runovers. Drowning, shooting, scurvy, and miscellaneous. What's miscellaneous? I will tell you. Homicides, lightning strikes, childbirth, stampedes, snake bites, flash floods, falling trees, and kicks by animals. Someone looked at this list and went, let's make a kids game out of this. This is what I want to do. Like, this was the same people who made Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. So, I mean, the whole thing's bullshit anyway, because then I played the game while I was home, and you get to have characters in your wagon, and I named them after my friends. So I named one of them Shannon, because my friend Shannon is like a resourceful and useful person, and I thought that would carry over into my imaginary gameplay. Not true though, because Shannon proceeded to break her leg 3 times in the first 2 days. It's like, you have 2 legs, Shannon. I don't think you have 2 legs, but you're in the covered wagon, and I know from experience that you're not doing shit to help me out. So I really don't understand how this happened. I need you to sit your ass down and turn it around when we go back home right now. like, Shannon died of a broken leg. It's like, okay, I don't think that's how broken legs work. And also, not on the list. I'm not buying that. That's my time.
Cream, everybody.
So I was at Best Deli recently.
I don't have enough room. Because I have to keep, I didn't get all this
I
stuff
was
on
at
my
Best
computer
Deli
after the shoot.
recently, and I saw a new brand of Skittles called Skittles Riddles. And so what Skittles Riddles, the tagline is, the colors don't match the flavors. So basically, Skittles is selling like a factory malfunction. There's no way that happened on purpose. One guy in the assembly line like screwed up, and now they're Tom Sawyering us into buying all of these things. But I got mad because like Skittles can pull off like marketing their mistakes, and it's fine. But I can't do that. And I got to thinking how cool it would be if I could. Because in the 4th grade, I called my teacher mom once. And I said, that'd be a slap a label on set. I think I'd just call it oops. In 2nd grade, this is something that really happened. Catherine Raff, who was a girl in my class, and her father bought like a group of puppies like for us to play with at lunchtime. So, no, that went to school. I know what's supposed to happen, but. So we had the puppies to play with, and I sort of dropped one on cement. Because I thought it was gonna pee on me. And then it started crying really loud. And then Catherine's dad came over and started yelling at me. And then I started crying really loud. I wish I could just slap a label on that and call it puppy problem. Yeah, man. Also, Skittles riddles. I don't know if Skittles knows what riddles are. Because I've never heard a riddle that goes like, okay, I'm red. What am I? An orange? Yep. I bought them because I like Skittles. So I left, I went home. I live in Walsh. And on my way back, I passed JMH. And behind JMH is like kind of a dumpster area that's used sometimes. And there was a chair in the dumpster area. And on the chair, there's a piece of paper taped to it that said, trash. I feel like if you have to label something as trash, it probably isn't. You could probably sit on that chair a couple more times. I felt like I was in the SAT, like the reading comprehension section. It's like, in this passage, chair most closely means garbage? Doesn't sound right. Bear with me, guys. Speaking of things that are like not really discernible if they should be thrown away or not, I was eating raisins earlier this morning. I feel like raisins could have been invented by any of our dads while our moms were away from home. Dad was in charge of feeding us. Dad, we have nothing to eat. What are you talking about? He pushes the Slim Fast shakes and the dry Fig Newtons out of the way. Look at all these grapes we have. Dad, those grapes look old and gross. Come off it. He's pretty good. I might talk to Frank down at the, where do they have, the farmers market and try to sell these. Dad, no one's gonna want to buy those. Well, maybe if we advertise it, put in little boxes, we'll put your face on the front. You still have that bonnet we got you from Christmas? Really good. So, me and my friends recently were kind of having a self-indulgent conversation. Some of the guys that I do stand-up with, we're trying to decide at what point do you get to call yourself a comedian. I wonder if terrorists have that same conversation with each other. Like, do you have to be in Al-Qaeda? Or can you be doing some like independent projects on your own? Like, once you start a Twitter revolution, you're in? I don't know. But, I don't know, I guess terrorists or comedians, there's probably not like a definitive definition of when you become one. But I like to think it's probably for both of them like the first time you really bomb in front of a crowd. Thanks, guys.
usually go by Michael. That's all right. So I saw a baby the other day. He had a really confounded look on his face. I can't describe it, but he was confused. And I realized that's totally justified. Because to babies, everything is brand new. Everything is brand new and amazing. It's crazy. But and like in their head, they're just constantly like, oh my God! Oh my God! Wow! That's awesome! I've progressed in therapy far enough that I can joke about the WWF. By WWF, I mean wrestling, not panda preserving. I remember as a kid, my favorite wrestler was Mankind.
Yeah.
Anybody remember him? I don't blame you. Mankind was most certainly an underdog, that's for sure. He was easily the most overweight wrestler. He was equal parts S&M, donuts, and sadness. His finishing move was Sacco, which, if you guys aren't familiar, which you obviously are not, he put a sock on his hand. He pulled it out somewhere in his weird outfit. Pulled a sock out, put it on his hand, and choked the other guy with it. And it made no sense. Where do I go with this? See, most wrestlers they either have a theme or they're just a person, like an incredibly jacked person. You're either like the Undertaker, which is like death, darkness, and like, you know, funerals, I guess. Or you're The Rock, an incredibly jacked person. But Mankind had a name like he might have a theme, like Justice, or like, you know, something. And then he had Sacco just to mix things up. That was my favorite wrestler, I don't know why. I was actually watching the WWE the other day, which is what they call it now. Thank you, pandas. I was watching the WWE the other day, and The Rock was on there. Big comeback tour or something, I'm not sure. And he was arguing with another wrestler about who wrestles best. The guy started talking shit, you know, like, I'm gonna wrestle the shit out of you. I'm gonna wrestle you right into the ground. But I'm like, if you want to talk shit to The Rock, just bring up that movie, The Tooth Fairy. It's ridiculous. Because The Rock, the hulking masterpiece that he is, the whole time he flies around in a baby blue outfit. And this guy doesn't even think to mention it. And it doesn't make any sense. He should have done that, I think. Where's your tutu? That's what I would have said. So anyway, there's that bit. I have to tell you that I think earthquakes are bullshit. I really do. They're really only dangerous if you're killed. Unlike, I'm from Arizona, as Michael Grossos told you. I'm from Arizona, and unlike our neighbors to the west, the only disasters we have are actually caused by Arizonans, like forest fires and Jan Brewer. Who, if you don't know, that's our owner. It's like, oh no, there's an earthquake. There's a mess in the living room. No. Or, there's an earthquake. Grandma's vase fell. This is a disaster. It's just bullshit, I think. I'm gonna end with a nice impression. This is my impression of a Japanese The Police cover band. So it's a Japanese The Police cover band. I gotta play bass. don't stand so, don't stand so, don't stand so close to me. That's all I got. Thank you very much.